We talked about this briefly the other day. We are straight up missing an entire month of jobs, inflation, unemployment, etc. data. And we're getting a bunch of contradictory information on this. This is really, 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 really bad. The White House said Wednesday it was unlikely that key federal inflation and labor reports impacted by the government shutdown would be released. From Carolyn Levitt, the Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system, with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released, and all that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind during a critical period. It's never them, it's always the Dems. I cannot overstate how bad this is. It is impossible for me to overstate how bad this is. I cannot. So much data relies on these numbers. If we lose that information, we lose. Think of it as like cumulative data, right? If your data is wrong or missing for a month, what do you base the future data on? Projections? You'll never know if you were on or off. How do you go back and check?
Unemployment rate would have touched about 4.7%. In part, that's just because of furloughed workers who would be responding to the household survey saying that they are out of work during the period when they're not going to the office. Instead, we're not going to get that report. We are likely to get a November household survey and a November jobs report. And it's also easier for the BLS to estimate the number of jobs that there were in October, because they're just asking firms about payrolls. But that unemployment rate, which speaks to the balance in the labor market, we're not going to have a print for October, and measurement issues are likely going to be abound when we get the November report eventually.
So are we going to have lasting damage to just data that the markets relied upon, generally speaking?
Definitely going to be the case. It's a very iffy. It's very iffy right now around the CPI report, because you need to have workers from the BLS going and looking at prices on shelves to accumulate price data for the consumer price index. We're not going to have that for October. There are some components that can be rebuilt in hindsight. For example,
how has it not burst the AI bubble yet? Buddy, the AI bubble is the entire economy, okay? Don't be in a hurry.
And the household survey wasn't conducted in October, so we're going to get half the employment report. We'll get the jobs part, but we won't get the unemployment rate, and that'll just be for 1 month. But yeah, it is true that we probably will maybe be able to concoct something, but we'll never actually know for sure what the unemployment rate was in October.
Phenomenal. Eric Swalwell has been criminally referred to the DOJ accused of mortgage fraud. Oh, is this another one of those fake prosecutions? The guy who told Trump to advocate for 50-year mortgages apparently has been illegally accessing people's mortgage information, like using his position within the government to unlawfully dig up dirt on political opponents, which is one of the reasons why housing stuff specifically has been what they've been going after people over. Like, for example, the governor of the Fed, what's her name? The lady? They went after her for the same thing. Yeah, Polta is the guy who's doing it. Lisa Cook, was that her name? Lisa Cook. They're doing this to multiple people. Why is it mortgage fraud every time? Because that's what I'm saying. Because that's what they're doing. That's what he's doing. He's illegally accessing that data. Letitia James? That sounds more accurate. We'll just say it's both of them.
This breaking just moments ago. Fox can now confirm that California Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell has been criminally referred to the Department of Justice, accused of mortgage fraud. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey reporting live
what new
on
Epstein
this breaking
update?
News on Eric Swalwell from the North Lawn. Hey, Peter.
Martha, as I was walking up here to do a hit on a different topic, I got a call from an administration official filling us in that Eric Swalwell, the Democratic California congressman, has indeed been referred to the Justice Department by Bill Pulte, who is the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac right now, because he is accused of making false or misleading statements on a mortgage application. We believe that this pertains to a $1.2 million house that Swalwell has in the Washington, D.C. area. Swalwell has already responded. Part of his very long statement says, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade, and as the only person who still has a surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I am surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me. like James Comey and John Bolton, Adam Schiff and Lisa Cook,
There you go.
Letitia James, and the dozens more to come. I refuse to live in fear in what was once the freest country in the world. Now, Swalwell has not been charged with anything. This is a criminal referral. Basically, a government agency thinks that they...
It's not going to lead to anything. Polte is probably just doing what he can. But again, at the end of the day, like, these cases are going to be... It's like the same with Kat Abigazela or... honestly, Comey, any of the people they've gone after, you know? There's a big fuss about their indictment or about charges, and then you stop hearing anything because it turns out these people have money and lawyers, and they didn't really do anything, or at the very least, they're not being charged for things they actually did. So it's just a waste of everyone's time. Have any of the other ones had any sticking power? To my knowledge, no. There hasn't been any real development on the front. Of all the people that I just mentioned, Kat Abigazela is the one that I'm most worried about, just because she doesn't have, like, a high-powered legal team or whatever, you know. She's not Bolton. Going after Comey's insane. The guy's so well defended. Yeah, it's a pretty psychotic thing to do, you know. Going after, like, the hardest possible targets. Swalwell too. Yeah, he's no slouch. Oh, Jesus Christ! Just an hour ago. Speaking of.
Breaking news, a critical test in the criminal cases against two of President Trump's biggest political foes. A federal judge in Virginia just heard arguments in a bid from James Comey and Letitia James to disqualify prosecutor Lindsay Halligan. Their attorneys argue Halligan was handpicked by President Trump and is serving as interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia unlawfully.
And joining us now, CNN's crime and justice correspondent, Caitlin Polantz. Just getting out of the courtroom, Caitlin, you were inside. You listened to all those arguments. So what happened during the hearing?
Well, Wolf and Pam, I was listening very closely to how Judge Cameron McGowan Curry was going to handle this hearing. And she's a laid-back questioner, a very concise questioner. But boy, it was a grilling of the Justice Department, if I have ever seen one before from a judge like this. Has there been a single Justice Department case that has not gone poorly? Like one of these politically motivated ones? A single one. Since the beginning of this administration, a single one of all the cases they filed. Judge Curry asked her very last question of the the Justice Department. Do you believe U.S. v. Trump was wrongly decided? That's a very telling question because the Trump defense team, when Donald Trump was a criminal defendant, he had won his case by having the prosecutor, Jack Smith, tossed off of it in Florida in a set of arguments very similar to this. And Judge Curry is now asking the Justice Department, are you guys against that now as the Justice Department wanting these cases against James Comey and Letitia James to go forward? The Justice Department lawyer responded, that's a different thing. That was a different situation that doesn't apply here. But that was quite a question that elicited gasps across the courtroom from a lot of people that were listening to this hearing. The other thing that Judge Curry did is she really dug in to some of the moves the Attorney General had made.
This shit is so impeachable. Yeah, unfortunately, I doubt the Democrats are going to do anything about it once they're back in power. And it really does seem like they're going to be back in power.